When Ronald Reagan took over as president, he suspended all negotiations with the Soviet Union over nuclear arms control. It was the first time since the 1950s that the United States was not talking to the Soviet Union. Ronald Reagan then began to build new nuclear weapons. The MX missile, the Trident missile, the cruise missiles, every single nuclear weapon that had been on the blueprints of the Pentagon for a generation, he just gave the green light to. And of course, there was a corresponding response from the Soviet Union. So we were in a full-blown nuclear arms race with Ronald Reagan as the principal cheerleader. Ronald Reagan was allergic to arms control. He didn't believe in any of the treaties that had ever been signed to put a limit on the production of and deployment of nuclear weapons between the United States and the Soviet Union. And across this country, in cities and towns, people started to organize against this arms race. People started to say, enough is enough. And out of that came something called the nuclear freeze. It was conceived by a woman, a brilliant woman, Randall Forsberg. And I partnered with her and introduced the nuclear freeze resolution into the United States House of Representatives in March of 1982. By June of 1982, the momentum around the nuclear freeze had built to such an extent that 1 million people showed up in Central Park to protest Ronald Reagan's nuclear buildup. And I was able to say to that million people, the whole world is listening.
Ronald Reagan is watching. Do you think that Ronald Reagan is listening? Ronald Reagan says that he wants arms control, but Ronald Reagan wants the MX missile. Ronald Reagan wants the B-1 bomber. Ronald Reagan wants the Trident II missile. Ronald Reagan wants the cruise missile. Ronald Reagan says, I'm with you, but first let me build my gold-plated weapons. I'm with you, but just let the Pentagon figure out how to win a nuclear war. I'm with you, but let's keep the defense contractors happy. So is Ronald Reagan with us? No! Is Ronald Reagan listening? No! The message is freeze. Freeze now. Freeze now.
I can't hear you. Freeze now. That is the way we are going to end the nuclear arms race. And from that day, there was a political momentum, a revolution against the nuclear arms race that rose up across this country. And it changed the politics of the nuclear arms race forever. And finally, we drove Ronald Reagan back to the negotiating table with Mikhail Gorbachev. We drove Ronald Reagan to have to give up so many of those nuclear weapons that he had cherished so much. Donald Trump is now seeking to revive the nuclear arms race. It is insanity what Donald Trump is talking about. You can't fight and win a nuclear war. We had to teach Ronald Reagan that lesson back in the 1980s. We have to teach Donald Trump the same lesson today. And the same thing is true for climate change. Donald Trump does not listen to the people of our country. Donald Trump does not understand that the science of climate change is clear and it poses an existential threat to our survival in the same way that the nuclear arms race did. We have people power. We have people rising up. We have a fight that we are going to win because the survival of our planet depends upon it. The nuclear freeze, the Green New Deal, just the people rising up. And ultimately, the politicians and the special interests have to get out of the way so that their voices are heard and their families, their children, their grandchildren are protected.